My short few words with you is really about telling you what my experience as a local government officer was getting involved in the local community of Neilston, getting involved in the Renaissance project there and working towards the charter. And my views on this, and what I'm trying to share with you as well a little bit, is what I think you would need to do, mainly as government officers, because I see there's quite a few on the delegates list. If you're going to get involved in this kind of thing, what you'll need to do, what you might need to be flexible about. A lot of the things, preconceptions that I had before going into this were sort of shattered in a good way, and I think a lot of the kind of worries about the cross-group working or working in silos and stuff, once you actually get involved in this at the local level, it all starts making sense. The conversations start happening anyway. So, empowering for who? First of all, this is, I think, has been an empowering piece of work for the council, and by that I mean by the officers and the elected members. We've had a wide range of officers attending all these meetings from different disciplines, different departments, sometimes people who have never worked together before, elected members from different parties, all working together, leaving their own agendas at home, and it's really, really important that empowering for the local community. Lots of different groups were already working in Neilston, but their strength and their power and their ability to do this grew with the process. For other local agencies, initial co-funders, the Barhead Housing Association, people like that, other groups, but other academic groups, enablers and all that, I think that they have developed through all of this as well. And all this pulling together towards the town team, which was talked about earlier on, this special, different type of way of working, a different group of people together, with a changed perspective for all of them. No longer working in their own little silos, in their own agendas, or with their own chums, but working together for the common good that they might find through the process of doing it. And one of the early things you've got to do here is find the common pride, and it emerges quite quickly. And I include the common pride that council have here as well. I'm certainly very, very proud of the work we've done here. I'm sure the council is, the council members are, and the officers that are involved are happy about it. And certainly, all of this is really about, rather than doing things separately, working together to be greater than the sum of the parts. What's so different? A lot of the things that we've heard today are things that have been done before in certain ways and in bits and pieces in different types of programmes. Bringing them all together, putting them down through the work of a town team into a charter, and using that as a mandate and manifesto is different. So in some ways, whilst there are lots of common, familiar elements, everything about it is different. One of the things is, as well, I found quite interesting, there was an open agenda in some ways. Whilst there were certain general topics that were there for discussion, the open agenda meant that anybody could talk about anything that was about that local place. And in fact, they did. And in some ways, the agenda and the areas of focus and interest shifted as the time went on. There was no real top table, apart from the facilitators who were coming in and out of the processes that went on, because people's roles changed within the thing. And what we found is that people were not, and this is very, very important, Alan made this clear, Alan Simpson made this clear at the beginning, that really people shouldn't be delegates from whatever group there was before, whether it was even the Development Trust, the Community Council, or the Tension Residents Group, or whatever, or the Council for that matter. But they're not delegates, they were all equal participants bringing their experience and knowledge to the table, but not necessarily their own agendas or remits. So that went to everybody. And part of this was also about getting to know people. Some people in the village getting to know their neighbours, but also officers getting to know each other better, and also different agencies getting to know each other better as well. And also, in that process, getting to know each other, they got to know the place better, because we went out and about, walked, looked at the place. So that was an experience that a lot of people hadn't been in some of these buildings. We mentioned the mill earlier on. Lots of other places people hadn't been there or hadn't been there since they were children. Part of the process as well, through the series of sort of fortnightly meetings and workshops and charrette, was this skilling up, the learning together of local people with facilitators, council officers working together, so that each time we met, the meetings were increasingly fruitful as the time went on, because people were increasingly skilled. And running parallel with that, we took the opportunity to get improvement service money to train up our own local officers in a cross-disciplinary group on various different aspects of urban design so that they would be fit for purpose when engaging with people through the charrette process and workshops process, but also in the future, once the charter's delivered, we've got it there, so that we're there and ready, fit for purpose to run with some of these things in the future along with the local community. And much of this was really about finding common ground that we all had towards an emerging future. And there's more, yeah. Flexible roles, not fixed. I want to touch upon that. You know, sometimes you're up there speaking, sometimes you're in there helping out, sometimes you're sitting around a table, sometimes you're maybe throwing in your own area of expertise, sometimes you have to be quiet, not usual for me, but to kind of deal with certain things as well. But also to realise this is a thing that you maybe need to get yourself fit for purpose for, is this happens quite rapidly, it's a kind of exponential skilling up and enthusiasm that builds here. So it's going to take a lot of work from you, but the community will be there with you and you'll gain the natural enthusiasm for it from getting involved in it. So it's a self-perpetuating thing. So that enables you to match vision, aspiration, with an ability to articulate both, as I said, quickly. It's also about getting it down in paper, both in terms of the notes from the meeting, saying what people wanted, make sure none of them were lost. Every single bit of paper from the whole set of workshops is all kept, from post-it pads to scribblings in the wall. Getting it down in paper in terms of drawings, actually drawing what people meant on plans, plan making, perspectives of place, how you could see it in the future, and signing up to it. So the other part again, signing up to this charter, saying, we've now seen it, taking stock, what do you think of the story so far? Is this right? Is this what you meant? Are you happy with it? And signing up to it as the community, the town team, the council's future manifesto and mandate. Because the town team and the council, and as mentioned, the special relationship earlier on, are the joint custodians and the advocates of this charter. And what will happen later on is that we will have a sort of ceremonial handing over of a charter to the council, the leader of the council, to say, this is what we say about our place, in conjunction with yourself, and it's our expectations together. So the meetings varied a bit blurred there, from crowded halls, 200 people, in a kind of traditional town hall sort of setting, moving, as the thing moved on to kind of the back, listening to things there, people chopping about, people sitting down around tables, looking at plans, started to break down to that level, and people started to draw up their own plans, marking it up, and actually getting their views down on paper. And, you know, quite sophisticated drawings started to happen by people, not necessarily of an architecture or planning or whatever background or graphics background, but which articulated very, very complex, developed long-term strategies for decades in advance, ahead of them rather. And, you know, drawing these up into, you know, pictures of their place, what will it look like? And the word beautiful was mentioned, but practical, attractive places. So, to sum up really, what does this mean? It's about the place becoming attractive. That term was used earlier on, and it's quite an interesting one. Attractive is important. It's not just a superficial visual thing. It's attractive in terms of funding, in terms of interest. It's attractive to people to come in and live in the place, for tourists, local tourism. It's attractive to all sorts of things, including ideas. So attractive in the broadest sense of the term. It's also, I think, has the potential for a move towards place-based planning, and dare I say it in local brackets here, local planning. Certainly, I think, and I'm not a professional planner, my background as a landscape architect, but I think there's a strong sense in my way of thinking that there's a sort of quite natural place for charters to sit, and that is forming the bones of local plans, about places. It's about, and it also is people saying this is what we want there. So it kind of does a lot of the work that people have in terms of consultation later on. So I think they're very, very powerful things, and may have another role in the future. And certainly I know that Jim McKendry has expressed an interest in that as well. So that's a big one there, and I'm maybe not expert enough on it, but to me it seems very natural. There's also the potential for place-based officer working groups. What I mean by that is, we're doing some work on Neilston or whatever. Having done some of the training we've done together and working together, we say, well, I'll call such and such, or somebody from Rose, somebody from community team, get them all together to work on a place, so they're not just all working on their own subject headings. And this kind of ties into the local plan thing, it's not just subject headings, it's place headings. And even if it's just not all the time, but for focused work to do that, and so that becomes the normal way of working, and that can change things, and that can break down the silos that were alluded to earlier on. And I think at the local level, that's the way to do it, is to change it locally, to work on making it better at the national level. Don't wait for somebody to do it for you.